How you guys doing today? Happen to have a game against Midnight Wings off of Twitch, and the one thing that I wanted to do in this game was use Drampa. I wanted to use it very effectively, but as you can see, the only neutral matchup that Drampa pretty much has against anything on this team is Necrozma. I think you could probably, maybe very slowly, with the set that this Drampa has, kind of get away with setting up a Necrozma. Otherwise, being a dual stab set, you get shut down by Metagross. Tapu Koko is probably going to kill you off with a Dazzling Gleam first. Porygon 2 just laughs at you all day. Como will probably bop you in one shot, regardless physical or special, and I have no doubt in my mind that Pheromosa will just immediately take you down with a high jump kick. So, unfortunately, and spoilers for the game ahead, Drampa will not be doing too much. But fortunately for him, I do have five other Pokemon on my team that will hopefully pick up the slack. So, I lead off with Magnezone, expecting him to lead off with his Tapu Koko, to try to get the Volt Switch and, get some momentum going there. But it turns out he actually ends up leading off with his Necrozma, and anytime you see this thing in the lead slot, all it's going to do is set up Stealth Rock, and I was actually seeing a lot of lead Necrozma that night, and they all did the same thing. It's a good Stealth Rock lead, since you get a decent Psychic for being unboosted. Your ability's pretty great, your natural bulk is amazing. You can EV this thing many different ways. It's a very unusual Pokemon that seems to just fit the lead slot pretty well, but I'm going to go ahead and Volt Switch. I wasn't too scared of the Necrozma versus Magnezone matchup, but, there being rocks up, I would kind of like to put the candle under his feet, metaphorically speaking, with this Specs Tapu Lele. Now, I have a few options I can go about with this because I am Specs. If I go for Psychic predicting the Porygon 2, I get massive damage, but if he stays in with Necrozma and, say, Dark Pulses or something along those lines, then I don't get a lot of damage off on him. If I go for a Shadow Ball expecting him to stay in and he switches out to Porygon 2, I don't do any damage. But if I go for a Specs Moonblast, I think I would do decent damage to both. So that ended up being my mid-ground play. I don't feel like messing around with rolls or anything like that, and I don't feel like getting Thunder Waved or Toxic or anything like that. And me being an Assault Vest Magnezone, I can take on Porygon 2 reasonably well, but he actually just immediately doubles back out into Necrozma again. I think kind of expecting, or him wanting to take advantage of the Psychic terrain, and me not staying in on the Porygon 2 with Tapu Lele. He figured Necrozma's safe to play after that and get back up to full HP. But the thing about that is I'm just going to go for a T-Bolt on that. It's not going to be a super effective hit because it is Psychic. So I get to see how much it does under just regular, normal conditions, optimal conditions. And it's probably looking like with leftovers, maybe a 3-hit KO. But if he doesn't have Dark Pulse, I actually come out very well on top as long as I have a reasonable amount of HP. So it's good to keep that one in the back of my mind for later, that if I do need something to deal with Necrozma, it will probably be this Magnezone, so I should try to keep it as safe as possible. This Como is going to come in, however, on the turn that I Volt Switch because I don't feel like dealing with that Necrozma versus Magnezone matchup right away. And I'm just going to bring in my Lele again because, this thing is just really freaking busted and it's good. Problem though is I bring it in a turn, I guess optimized too early, where I'm not able to get my Psychic terrain back up as I go for a Spec Psychic. It still does a pretty good amount of something that does quad resist it, but the thing is it could have done so much more. On top of that, it would have prevented his Mega Metagross for going for Bullet Punch if that scenario did arise. Now, I do want to explain these next couple of turns, and I haven't run damage calcs on it, but I'm speaking just purely from common sense because I don't feel like pulling up Showdown in the time that it takes, to kind of justify what happens here. So I switch this thing in, it takes rocks. You're seeing that I'm at about 130 HP, give or take. So he's gonna go to Mega Evolve and then go for a Tough Claws boosted Meteor Mash, which is gonna do around 70 to a normal Gyarados. Gyarados having base, 79 defense is not going to like that too much because Mega Metagross is just freaking busted. But I Mega here to take advantage of the extra 30 points I get in defense because I'm assuming, going from almost 80 base defense to 110 base defense, this roll is going to be stacked a little bit in my favor, especially if he got a max on the last one. But it turns out that he just ends up missing entirely. So to justify, did that miss matter? I would say in the long run of things, it probably didn't matter compared to other hacks that we've seen on stream or anything like that. I Mega'd for the purpose of being able to live that hit, and me being alive on this turn regardless of the amount of HP is probably just going to justify what happened there is ultimately not important. I thought about it a lot after the game, like would that have mattered? How much of base defense boost did I get? Turns out I got a really damn good amount, so This thing just gets bulkier as it megas and gets a little bit extra attack. It's really nice. But this is the matchup I was expecting on turn 1 in terms of Coco versus Magnezone. But because I switch in Magnezone on Coco, he's actually going to go ahead and get the initiative out into his, what is this, his Pheromosa? Yes, this is correct. Now, this is where things get weird, because if I didn't have Gyarados around, I wouldn't have had to switch out. And then this is where things also get pretty important as well, because he misses his high jump kick. Go figure. You're taking my job, buddy. And I'm able to knock the thing out in one shot. But if he had killed me right there, then his Pheromosa would have been in and not his Kommo-o, and I would not have given him a free Dragon Dance on this turn by having to switch out. Now, this is also another important point to discuss, because, hey, my Gyarados is still alive, and I'm going to have to go for an attack on him here, but I believe he's actually just going to DD and then straight up Earthquake me. But keeping in mind, the alternate timeline where he hits high jump kick, he probably still has Pheromosa in, and I still have a Boer in the back with Fluffy. So we're picturing two different timelines that could be playing out two different ways, and that Kommo-o is still present in both of them. But in this one, I'm dealing with it now, and I'm kind of scrambling a little harder in the first place in order to figure out a solution to this. But regardless, Gyarados dying on this turn in both of those timelines that I'm seeing, it was a real possibility, since I probably would have still been alive, or I would have died to rocks depending on the roll of Meteor Mash. I'm not 100%. That's the first time it's come in since then. But because of that right now, I do actually have to switch in Bear Force 1 right now in order to take a Sky Uppercut. And it turns out, with Fluffy, I am able to take it. I don't take it very well, but I take it. I know reasonably with full HP on a Rock Switch in, Sky Uppercut's base power being, I believe that's how it works, like Fluffy cuts it in half or something like that. But I'm actually able to, live it and go for that. But I end up taking a lot of damage as a direct result, and I figure, the best thing to do is to just sack at the top of Coco. And then this is going to come into play a little bit later, I believe, Beware actually dying at this point. One of my alternate timeline, I would have needed it to deal with Kommo-o at that point in time, because I probably would have killed off the Pheromosa or forced it out at that point. Beware would not be dead at this point. I might be confusing myself as well as some of my viewers at this point. But a lot of those Pokemon interchangeably matter in the matchups to each other, and I thought about that a lot on each take, especially because he's going to Volt Switch again right now. What does he go into? I completely spaced out on this turn, I'm so sorry. But the Coco keeps Volt Switching on me, and I keep having to bring this thing back in. But he goes into Necrozma, and I believe on this turn I Flash Cannon, and then the turn after I Volt Switch, because I have had enough. And if I get a special defense drop on a Necrozma, that's perfectly fine. I honestly, wasn't really banking on that, but it actually kind of helps me out a little bit, because it's going to pressure him to go for Moonlight since he is faster. If he had Dark Pulse, I feel like he would have revealed it by now. He would have tried to go for it, maybe flinch me out or something like that. But he does have -1, and he got the Electric Train up for my Magnezone. So you're going to see that a Volt Switch actually does substantially more than a Thunderbolt would have done, thanks to the Terrain Boost and thanks to the Special Defense drop. Pretty damn important, if you ask me. And now I get to bring in my Minior, who is actually going to pick up a lot of Drampa's slack, which I could have brought in Drampa right there, but I figure if there was an opportunity to Shell Smash, I definitely needed to do it here, because he either has the option of going for Moonlight and trying to get back up to full, or he can try to attack me right now and, maybe try to bring me out of Shields Down. I think he ended up, did he Moonlight? I don't remember if he Moonlighted. I think he actually might have tried to go, no, wait, what did he do? No, he tried to go for Thunder Wave, and he forgot. That boy forgot that when your shields are up, when your shields are up, you can't get statused. So that's actually really, really, really important right now. But the other thing as well is I'm actually still shields up, so my base attack is 60 right now. So this is an awkward position where I'm just like this hunk of still Meteor that is not that strong yet, but Porygon 2 switching in on it has to take an Acrobatics, and I don't believe is going to be able to take another one. Which, that's what I ended up going for, and it turns out, I'm able to take out the Porygon 2, sweet. But this is a shields up sweep is what's going on here. Tapu Koko is going to come in, and I was like, oh shit, you know what? My base speed is still 60, so I'm kind of wondering if I outspeed it or not. And I don't remember if I was necessarily supposed to. I was legitimately surprised to outspeed it because I'm an adamant Minior. And I'm pretty sure Coco's up there in terms of base speed, like kind of floating in like Weavile Jolteon territory. So it could have been either or. That was a legitimate guess, but I think I still had Drampa if he had Coco and across my left, and I think Drampa could have taken down those last two Pokemon because it would have brought me into Berserk, and then I would have just knocked him out with like a Hyper Voice or something like that. But either way, Minior just kind of tears through him without even showing his face, except for when he switches in at first. That heartless bitch. Anyways, that was a pretty damn interesting game, if I do say so myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. You guys know how that goes. And this has actually been recorded almost a week prior, so if anything cool has happened since then, you can leave it in the comments. Let me know how your New Year's was, you know, all that stuff. I'm talking to you from the past. It's called scheduled posting. It's really not that special, I guess. Anyways, that should do it out of me for this one, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.